Hey there, scientists. Welcome back to science class, where we are going to keep investigating how animals grow. Now, I want you to take a look at all of the living things on this screen. I see a human, a sloth, an otter, a shark, a jaguar, an alligator, a frog, and a fish. I want you thinking, what does each of these animals eat? We've written a claim and an argument in order to answer a question. Today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into what that means, because soon we're going to be writing an argument for the Natural Resources Rescue in order to explain why that project area with the jaguars, sloths, and cecropia trees is not thriving. Now, when I say argument, I'm not talking about getting in a fight with your brother or sister. I'm talking about a scientific argument. Basically, an argument is using evidence, using information we're giving to explain why you think one scientific idea is best. So usually when you argue with somebody, it's because you think you're right. In science, it's the same thing. You're going to tell me an argument and why you think you're right. When scientists make arguments, they make a claim and support it with evidence. A claim is an answer to a question, and evidence is information that supports an answer to the question. So today, as we go through this lesson, we're going to watch a video and a model, and you're going to use those things as evidence when you answer your exit ticket at the end of the lesson. So if we were thinking about what alligators eat, here we go. What do alligators eat? The first claim option is that alligators eat other animals. The second claim is alligators eat plants. And the third claim is alligators eat rocks. Now, you might already have an idea as to which claim you think is right, but we're going to look over here in order to find some evidence to support our claim. So we need to look over here to see what evidence we can find to support one of these answers. We're going to be looking to see if we think alligators eat other animals, if they eat plants, or if they eat rocks. So let's look over here. I see a picture of an alligator with something in its mouth. I'm going to look a little bit closer, and I notice that that's a bird. I'm going to stick that in my brain because a bird is another animal. That is evidence that claim one is correct. Let's move over here. It says many different animals live in a swamp environment. Some of the animals that live in a swamp environment are alligators, turtles, birds, insects, and fish. Down here, it says the number of fish in the swamp before alligators were observed there. There were 100 fish before there were any alligators. The number of fish in the swamp after alligators were observed is 90. What do you notice about these two numbers? I see that the number of fish in the swamp before there were alligators is higher than the number of fish in the swamp after the alligators were there. So I'm thinking, why would the number of fish go down after alligators arrived in the swamp? I think that it's probably because alligators are eating the fish. So over here, we have evidence that this alligator is eating a bird, another animal. And here, we are using data to find evidence that alligators also eat fish, which is another animal. Both of those pieces of evidence support claim one, that alligators eat other animals. So we could make the claim that alligators eat other animals. That's our answer to the question. The evidence shows that alligators eat birds. This matters because birds are animals. This means that alligators eat other animals. The evidence also shows that there were fewer fish in a swamp after the alligators were observed there. This matters because fish are animals. And our conclusion is that this means that alligators eat other animals. So we use this evidence here in order to use a claim and support it with evidence. Sometimes you might have the right answer, but if you can't tell me why that answer is right, you're not using evidence. You need to make sure you're supporting your claim with evidence. Now, we are going to observe animals in their environment in two different ways. The first way we're going to do that is by watching a video. The second way is by looking at a model. The key concept that we're keeping in our brains today is that everything is made of matter. And I want to clear something up after last week. I saw a few of you in your exit ticket wrote that everything matters. Even if that's true in an ecosystem, we're not talking about something that matters as being important. We're talking about matter as molecules and atoms brought together to make matter. Everything in the world is made out of atoms and molecules, which come together and make matter. So our key concept is that everything is made of matter, and matter is made of molecules. We're going to be thinking about an ecosystem, which is all the living things and non-living things in an area. Now, we're going to watch part of this video. This is a sea otter, and what they're doing is eating mussels. Now, mussels are kind of like clams. They're something that's at the bottom of this sea that's covered with a shell. So these otters have to break open the shell in order to eat the meat of the mussels inside. I want you to watch this while keeping in mind the question, why are these otters eating these mussels? What are the otters doing while eating these mussels? I want you to observe what you think is happening in this video and decide how these animals are getting food molecules. Let's think about what the otters were doing in the video. If you have any ideas about how otters grow their body and how otters get the molecules to grow their body. Keep those questions in mind because we're going to look back at the book that we read last week to see if we can find some evidence. If you could look inside the body of an alligator, you would see muscles, bones, blood, and different systems. All of the parts of an alligator are made of matter. For example, let's zoom in on a mussel. So that's what it's showing you right here. Through a microscope, this is what mussel looks like. Those parts are made up of even smaller parts, which are made up of molecules. Those molecules are made up of atoms, which is matter. So everything inside an animal, everything that makes up an animal, is made up of molecules and atoms, which are matter. The new matter needed for growth comes from what an animal eats. Food is also made of matter. When an animal eats food, it is eating billions and billions of atoms and molecules. These atoms and molecules are all matter that the animal uses to grow. So an animal eats matter, which is made up of atoms and molecules, and when they eat that, it's added to their body. They use it to grow. Inside the animal's body, the food molecules are broken down and used to build new molecules that make up bone, blood, muscles, skin, and other body parts. Not all the matter that an animal eats gets added to the animal's body. Some of the matter isn't used by the animal. This matter ends up being a different kind of waste, including droppings. More important, the animal uses some of the food matter to get energy. Animals need energy to move and do all the things that animals do. When an animal uses matter to get energy, that matter is changed and released as gases into the air. So we know that after an animal consumes food, after they eat food, which is made of matter, they can use that matter for three things. They can grow their body, they can expel waste like droppings, and they can use it for energy. So we are going to make the claim that animals grow by eating to add molecules to their body. We saw that in the video of the otters eating mussels, and we see that in the book where it talks about the alligator eating different things in order to grow their body. Animals grow by eating to add molecules to their body, and you do the same thing. Now, we are going to quickly talk about this model, okay? Scientists, when they can't observe something in real life, they use models to make sense of it. So we're going to look at these cubes that I have over here. I want you thinking about these questions while we do this. These 7 cubes represent an otter, and these 3 cubes represent a fish. Now, we watched the video of otters eating mussels, but they also eat fish to grow their bodies. So I want you thinking, why do you think the otter and fish are made out of the same thing in this model? Why does the otter have more cubes than the fish? And using this model will show how animals grow. What would the otter need to do so it can grow? So let's talk about these questions real quick. The otter and the fish are made out of the same thing. They're both made out of these gray cubes. Why do you think that is? What are otters and fish made out of? Did you say matter? Because everything is made of matter. Stick that in your brains. Everything is made of matter. So these 2 animals are both made of matter. They're both made up of atoms and molecules. They're made up of the same thing. Why does the otter have more cubes than the fish? Let's think about that. We saw the otters in the video. They're pretty big. They're bigger than fish. So because their bodies are bigger, they have more molecules and atoms making up their body. So they have more matter than the fish. We're going to see how animals grow. What would the otter need to do so it can grow? So how would this otter acquire the matter from this fish? He would eat it. So if this otter ate the fish, it would get the matter from the fish. Now, after it eats, 3 things happen to this matter. One of the cubes, some of the matter, will be added to the otter's body. 1 will become waste, and 1 will become energy. So there goes the energy cube, and there goes the waste cube. So now, the otter started with 7 cubes, and now it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cubes because it's added that matter from the fish to its body. Now, your job on your exit ticket today, on your classwork tab, is going to be to think about this hamster here. The 5th grade science class at Kip Whittier Middle School in Camden has a pet hamster named Oreo. A student has a class job of making sure that the hamster's food dish is kept full of food, which includes sunflower seeds, dried corn, and smaller seeds. Our question we need to answer today is, what does this hamster use these food molecules for? We've talked about this with the otters in the video. We talked about the alligator in the book, and we talked about the otter with the cube model. You need to use at least 1 piece of evidence from either the video, the book, or the model to support your answer. I cannot wait to see what claims and evidence you come up with, and I will see y'all next time.